9 true scary Starbucks. Horror stories. Story 1. The Regular Part 1. My name is Jasmine, and I was 22 years old when this happened. I worked as a barista at a Starbucks in suburban Seattle, Washington. It was a Wednesday afternoon, 4:15 p.m., and the afternoon rush had just ended. A man came in to order a grande latte. He seemed normal enough. Polite, patient, nothing alarming. But he came back the next day. And the next. For 4 weeks straight, he came in every single day, always ordering the same drink, always watching me. Then one day he handed me a photograph with his payment. A photograph of me walking to my car. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because that man knew everything about my life. Part 2. He always sat at the same table near the window, always watched me work, always stayed for hours. At first I thought nothing of it. Coffee shops had regulars. That was normal. But his focus was different. His eyes never left me. When he handed me the photograph, my hands started shaking. I have been watching you for 2 months, Jasmine. I know where you live. I know your schedule. I know when your roommate works. I backed away from the register. Get out. Now. Part 3. He left before police arrived, but he came back 3 days later, not to the store, to my apartment complex. I found roses on my windshield with a note. You cannot hide from me. Police caught him parked outside my building at 2 a.m. His name was Harold Eugene Patterson, 47 years old. He had stalking charges in 4 states. In his car, they found files on multiple women, all from coffee shops where he posed as a regular. He was convicted and sentenced to 15 years. Part 4. For 2 months, a man built a file on my life while ordering lattes. If you work at coffee shops, watch for regulars who seem too interested. Trust your instincts, because sometimes the friendly customer is learning everything about you. Story 2. The Parking Lot. Part 1. My name is Marcus, and I was 26 years old when this happened. I stopped at a Starbucks in suburban Atlanta, Georgia during a late-night drive. It was a Friday night, 9:45 p.m., and the cafe was about to close. I went inside, ordered a coffee, and came out 15 minutes later. That is when I noticed the van. A white cargo van with no windows parked directly next to my driver's side door. The engine was running. 2 figures sat inside watching me. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because that van was waiting for me. Part 2. I did not approach my car. I pulled out my phone and called 911. There is a van blocking my car, 2 people inside. Something is wrong. The van's side door opened. A man stepped out. Hey, we just need directions. I ran back inside the Starbucks. Through the window, I watched them drive away quickly. Police tracked the plates. Part 3. Carl Douglas Simmons and Vernon Dale Hutchins, both with criminal records. In their van, police found rope tape and photographs of people at coffee shops across Georgia. 2 people in those photographs were missing. Their remains were found on property owned by Simmons. I was almost the 3rd. If a van appears next to your car, do not approach. Go back inside. Call police, because sometimes the van is hunting. Story 3. The Closing Shift. Part 1. My name is Aliyah, and I was 21 years old when this happened. I worked the closing shift at a Starbucks in suburban Phoenix, Arizona. It was a Monday night, 10:15 p.m., and the store had just closed. I was cleaning the espresso machines when I heard a sound from the back storage room. A soft thud, like something falling. But I was supposed to be alone. My co-worker had left 5 minutes earlier. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because someone had been hiding in our store. Part 2. I grabbed my phone and moved toward the door. A man emerged from the storage room. Dirty clothes, wild eyes, holding a knife. "Where's the safe?" I ran for the front entrance. The doors were locked from inside for closing. I fumbled with the lock as he approached. The door opened. I sprinted into the parking lot, screaming. A customer pulling into the drive-thru saw me and called police. Part 3. His name was Raymond Earl Patterson, 44 years old. He had hidden in our bathroom before closing, waiting for employees to be alone. He had done this at 3 other coffee shops. 2 employees had been hurt. He was convicted and sentenced to 16 years. Check every hiding spot before closing. Never assume you are alone. Story 4. The Drive-Through Window. Part 1. My name is Terrell, and I was 20 years old when this happened. I worked the evening shift at a Starbucks with a drive-through in rural Tennessee. It was a Saturday night, 8:30 p.m., and I was working the window. A dark truck pulled up. The driver was wearing a mask, not a COVID mask, a ski mask, and he was pointing a gun at my face. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because what happened next almost cost me my life. Part 2. Give me everything in the register. I opened the drawer. Maybe $300. I put it in a bag with shaking hands. Now come outside. I was not going outside. I dropped to the floor and screamed. My co-worker hit the panic button. The truck sped away. Part 3. Police found him an hour later at another coffee shop, attempting the same thing. His name was Vernon Dale Simmons, 41 years old. He had robbed 5 drive-thrus across Tennessee. In one case, an employee had been taken. He was convicted and sentenced to 22 years. If someone demands you leave the building, refuse. Compliance keeps you alive. Leaving rarely does. Story 5. The Bathroom, Part 1. My name is Brianna, and I was 24 years old when this happened. I stopped at a Starbucks in suburban Chicago, Illinois, to use the restroom. It was a Sunday afternoon, around 2:30 p.m. The bathroom was a single room with a lock. I closed the door and noticed something wrong. A small hole in the wall near the mirror, and behind that hole a tiny red light was blinking. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because someone was recording. Part 2. I covered myself and ran to the counter. There is a camera in the bathroom. Someone is recording. The manager called police immediately. Behind the wall was a storage closet. Inside they found a laptop receiving the feed. The camera had hundreds of recordings. Women and children using that bathroom. Dating back months. Part 3. The recordings traced to an employee who had access to that closet. His name was Gregory Dean Patterson, 36 years old. He was sharing the recordings online, part of a voyeuristic network. He was convicted and sentenced to 14 years. Check bathrooms for holes and cameras. Your privacy is not guaranteed. Story 6. The Mobile Order Part 1. My name is Deshawn, and I was 25 years old when this happened. I used the Starbucks app to order my coffee at a location in suburban Denver, Colorado. It was a Tuesday morning, 8:15 a.m. I ordered my usual drink and waited for the notification that it was ready. A man approached me in the parking lot. He knew my name. He said he had been watching the pickup counter learning names from mobile orders following people he liked. Subscribe now and leave a comment below. Because he had been following me for weeks. Part 2. I know your order, Deshawn. Grande cold brew with oat milk. Every Tuesday and Thursday. I backed toward my car. How do you know that I watch, I learn? I know which car is yours. I followed you home last week. I got in my car and locked the doors. He stood there smiling as I drove away. Part 3. Police found him a week later, parked outside my apartment. His name was Harold Eugene Whitfield, 49 years old. He had stalking charges in 3 states. He had been using mobile order pickups to identify and follow victims. He was convicted and sentenced to 12 years. Be aware of who is watching when you pick up mobile orders. Predators adapt to technology. Story 7. The Storage Room, Part 1. My name is Jasmine, and I was 23 years old when this happened. I worked at a Starbucks in suburban Houston, Texas. It was a Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m., and my manager sent me to the storage room to grab supplies. The room was at the back of the store, past the employee area. I opened the door and stepped inside. That is when I heard breathing behind me. Someone was hiding behind the boxes. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because I was not alone in that room. Part 2. A man emerged from behind the shelving. He was holding a metal pipe. Scream, and I will use this. I screamed anyway. I threw boxes at him and ran. My co-workers heard me and came running. The man fled through the back exit. Part 3. Security footage showed him entering through the back door during a busy period, hiding until the store emptied. His name was Vernon Dale Simmons, 46 years old. He had targeted coffee shops for months. 2 employees at other stores had been hurt. He was convicted and sentenced to 14 years. Check storage areas before entering alone. Predators hide and wait. Story 8. The Opening Shift, Part 1. My name is Marcus, and I was 24 years old when this happened. I worked the opening shift at a Starbucks in suburban Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was a Monday morning, 4:45 a.m., and I had just arrived. The parking lot was empty, except for my car. I walked toward the employee entrance at the back of the building. A man was waiting in the shadows near the dumpsters. He stepped out as I approached. He was holding a crowbar. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because he had been waiting for hours. Part 2. Give me your keys. We are going inside. I threw my keys at his face and ran. I sprinted toward the street, screaming for help. A car was approaching. I waved frantically. The driver stopped and called 911. The man fled into the darkness. Part 3. Police found him a mile away, hiding in a parking garage. His name was Raymond Earl Hutchins, 48 years old. He had targeted opening employees at 3 other stores. One had been badly hurt. In his car, they found photographs of coffee shop employees arriving for early shifts. He was convicted and sentenced to 18 years. Check parking lots before approaching buildings in darkness. Opening shifts are vulnerable. Story 9. The Follower Part 1. My name is Alia, and I was 22 years old when this happened. I was a regular customer at a Starbucks in suburban Atlanta, Georgia. It was a Thursday evening, 6:30 p.m. I ordered my usual drink and sat down to work on my laptop. A man at the next table kept glancing at me. When I left, he left too. When I turned, he turned. For 15 minutes, he followed me through the shopping center. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because that man followed me all the way home. Part 2. I tested it deliberately. Random turns, backtracking. He matched every move. I did not drive home. I drove to the police station. He followed for 2 miles before turning away. I filed a report. They said there was little they could do. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then I found his car parked on my street. Part 3. Police caught him watching my apartment at midnight. His name was Gregory Paul Whitmore, 45 years old. He had stalking charges in 4 states. In his car, they found photographs of women from coffee shops across Atlanta, notes about their cars and addresses. He was convicted and sentenced to 15 years. Notice if someone follows you from stores. Never lead them home. The end. If these stories scared you, leave a comment below and tell me which one was the most terrifying. And remember, the next time you visit a Starbucks, pay attention to your surroundings. Watch for regulars who watch you too closely. Check parking lots before approaching your car. Be careful with mobile orders that display your name. And if you work there, check every hiding spot before closing. Because predators are everywhere. They pose as friendly regulars. They wait in vans. They hide in storage rooms. They follow you home. And they are always watching, always planning, always waiting for the moment when you are alone. Stay alert. Stay safe. Trust your instincts, because your instincts could save your life.